All right, being in the military, we follow under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, and those rules are distinctly different than the rules, rights, and privileges expressed in the Constitution. And when I learned how to engage in battle in a foreign land under the guise of the military, those rules don't apply when I come back to the civilian life. And so when I started carrying concealed here in the States, I really had a desire to learn more about dealing with the police, what happens to me legally, both in criminal court and civil court afterwards, should I have to shoot somebody. And I didn't know where to go to learn all that. Now you can read your local laws and try to understand that, but without some type of law degree, it can get pretty complicated. So I got recommended a fellow by the name of Massad Ayoob, and I went and I took one of his classes. And Massad, we call him Mass. Mass has a great ability to verbally express, convey the legal aspects of both the criminal side, the civil side of what happens to you, and how to deal with the police should you become involved in a shooting. And I'll tell you, that changed my world. I had my eyes open to what legally I am allowed and what I'm not allowed to do, and then how to deal with the police on the scene. And it was well worth the money I spent to go to the class, the money I spent in traveling to the class, because it has paid dividends over and over and over again. And if nothing else, it provides me with a sense of comfort to know how to react. So I go and I train firearms and I know how to react, but how do I react when the blue lights show up? So what I'd recommend to you guys is go out on there on YouTube and look up his 1986 VHS recorded video on dealing with the police, how you're supposed to respond and how you're supposed to react, what you're supposed to say and what you're not supposed to say. And you know, I think that once you watch that, and it is well worth your time to watch those videos that he has, so that you can understand what the police really are doing on the scene. But if you don't have time, let me give you a couple of takeaways from what he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you that, first of all, the police, when they arrive on the scene, are simply note takers. Now, I'm not dissing any police. I love the brothers protecting the thin blue line out there. I do. And I work with a lot of police officers, mainly SWAT teams, and I have a love for them. But I want you to know that they have a job to do, and their job is to figure out what actually happened out there on the scene, not to take sides. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is just start pleading your case with them and show them how innocent you are. And what he's going to tell you is, shut your mouth. That's what you have a lawyer for. Let him tell your side of the story. Another thing is, don't have your gun out. Put your gun away. Put it on the ground. Put it back in the holster. Do not have a gun in your hand when the police show up. Pretty important, right? Because they don't know the bad guy from the good guy, and there's a high propensity of you getting shot. And then lastly, he's going to tell you that when you deal with the police, keep your answers clear and concise, and do what your lawyer tells you to do. You can do all that by still being respectful. Officer, I've just been involved in a dramatic shooting. I have a surge of adrenaline, and I can't really collect all my thoughts. I want to help in any way that I can when my lawyer gets here. And don't answer any questions. But you're going to have that urge to say, look, officer, he was doing this, and so I had to. And that officer's not going to say, oh, well, you're innocent. Hey, head to the house and, have a good dinner. Everything will be all right. He's not going to do that. The officer is trying to get as much information out of you as possible. So he's going to talk with you. He's going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you're going to feel obligated because you're innocent to answer them. Your job is to shut your mouth, wait for your lawyer, and to do what your lawyer tells you to do. Because you're only found innocent or guilty in a court of law, not on the crime scene. And I think that people who go through just a CCW class and they get, a brief introduction to the laws, where you can carry, where you can't carry, and where you are justified in shooting someone, where you aren't, based on what state you live in, that doesn't give you the complete picture of what's actually going to happen. How you're going to be grilled, what type of questions you're going to be asked, how you're going to emotionally feel, how you're going to emotionally want to respond to that. You're going to go through the grieving process, and you're going to feel obligated emotionally to plead your case. And that, what he's going to talk about in those videos, is going to give you a great understanding. It's going to expand your knowledge of what you are and are not allowed to do, what you should and should not do when you've been involved in a shooting. So go check those videos out. And if you have an opportunity to go train with Mass, do it. He is a great instructor. And he's really one of the original big gun guys that are still around teaching classes. He's got a wealth of knowledge. It changed my life. It changed my perspective of carrying a gun. And I believe it'll do for you. It'll be a positive change for you. Go check him out. Massad Ayoob.